3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002. For Dennis J. Courtney, MD.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AIM Impact on Your Health. AIM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AIM Impact on Your Health, heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AIM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we always encourage you to call in to join in. Today I have a little bit of fun with some things that crossed my computer over this past weekend. I always like lists. I don't know about you, but I enjoy looking at lists. This one caught my eye. You'll see we're going to have a little fun today talking about medical myths. Actually, 12 of them. Actually, 12 plus 12. You'll see what I mean in a minute. But we're going to go through some humorous, which you'll see, and then some very weighty and meaty issues that we've actually delved into many, many times here on our show. So, talking about medical myths today, and be to the ready because you may want to chime in at any given moment and weigh in on any one of the myths, or you may want to bring some additional myths to me. Whatever it may be, the number, of course, as always, will be 412-825-6262. It's 412-825-6262. Now, looking at some calendar items. Cass, as you could well understand, won't be our guest today. I spoke to Sylvia, and we're trying to locate Cass. He emerged from Europe, we know. I think we now know he's back in the States, and pretty much means I'll be able to connect with him today. We're anticipating that Cass Ingram will be with us here on our show for our Wednesday show, and then be in waiting to be able to see you all at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group meeting this Thursday night. It's a little tricky because it's fourth Thursday of the month, not third. Still same place, the Days Inn, just south of Butler, about a mile on the right-hand side. 7 o'clock, Cass will be there. He's been there before. He's coming back again. The gentleman's a veritable encyclopedia on natural cures, natural remedies to treat some pretty serious things, and usually a lot better than any of the conventional therapies ever were able to do that. So, Cass Ingram Week will move forth this week without problem, without fail. We're going to be quickly, in another week or so, turning the page, as I usually say, turning the page into the month of October. In October, just looking at our lineup already, it's starting to mount up, folks. Dr. Hanna is coming back. We're going to talk about nasal washings again. She invented a technique to do so rather easily. She said a 2-year-old could do it, and she went to explain to us how, in fact, it is to be done, and doggone it, I think a 2-year-old can. Plenty of you non-2-year-olds took her up on her offer. I know this because you come to my office. I see you as patients, and you say it's working well for you. Dr. Hahn is going to be back literally the first full week in October 4th. She's also going to talk a little bit about the vaccine issue, which as a pediatrician, I'm very much interested in her opinion. Then we will have turned the page, will we not? When we move into October, it's that month again. And it's a good month because we don't want ever to ignore the possibility of bringing and shedding light on a very serious health issue. That health issue annually in October that's explored each and every year is breast cancer. And of course, we're talking about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We'll have guests talking about it from many aspects. We always come at it from one great aspect, however, which is a very safe way to be able to determine what your cancer possibility statuses are with a therapy that will do so earlier than any other and will do so without any harm to you. Trying to get all you ladies to think not in terms of mammography, which will be exactly what you'll hear in those days of October, even though the federal government claims you don't need them anymore, ladies, until you're 70. Well, don't think you should wait until you're 70, but nonetheless, they may be doing you a favor by having you avoid mammograms. They have so many different problems associated with them. One is to provoke the very thing you're trying to avoid. Anyway, on the 11th of October, we're going to have the girls with us. They're from Three Rivers Thermography. We're going to be talking about thermograms, what I believe to be a very good replacement for mammograms. You decide. Do them both if that's what you decide, but at least have the scientific information to be able to make that decision with knowledge as opposed with myth. Talking about myths. Hey, also too in the month, Bill Henderson's going to be with us. Wrote a book on cancers, alternative treatments for cancer. He will be the featured speaker on the third Thursday of the month, in the month of October, up at the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group, and we will have him here with us on the 18th that very week. That'll be on the Monday, and he'll be up there on the 21st with you all at the Freedom of Cancer and Therapy session on that day. Okay, that's the calendar. Friday show. Hey, what about Friday show? Well, I was surprised when I read, and we mentioned on the air, that Deanna Naylor, who, gee whiz, she's really ascended well in the company, and when we first had her with us about a year ago, she was the VP. Come to find out now, in a rather startling fashion, but not surprising fashion, she's the president. And it's so nice to know a president. It's the only one I know, one of very few. But how about the shocking news? I have been flabbergasted ever since she revealed to us, because I promise you, I had no idea. If any of you out there knew this, call me and let me know, because I sure didn't. Deborah got married. That's wonderful. However, she got married 3 years ago. I've spoken to Deborah. I've spoken to Deborah multiple times. Never. That's Deborah, right? She. I can't say that's a completely bizarre thing to have happen, because when I'm talking about Deborah, she's so excited about what she's doing. But hey, she should have been excited about telling us about her husband too. We're going to get to the bottom of this, and I promise you, when she emerges from her vacation, which is up in Vancouver, I know that Deanna's going to be talking to her and get her on our show, and I promise we'll have a discussion about the new husband. It just blows my mind. 3 years. Okay. We're here this Monday morning. It's nice to be with you. I hope you had a great weekend. Steelers won again. Was that amazing or what? What a defense. What a defensive game. It was an honor to watch the doggone thing. We're going to be here today talking about myths, in a way, some in a light and a haphazard way, others in a very serious way. Some rather meaty issues have been unveiled as the myths, and I think we've talked about many of them before, some not. We're going to be back in a moment. We're going to take a short break. I'll talk to you about, well, you'll see how this shapes up, talking about the medical myths. What's right, what's wrong, what's in between. Be right back.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow. It seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Cognitive Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion on a blending of traditional alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in the formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Fruit of the Spirit. The blessings of Fruit of the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith, but Fruit of the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health, heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on this Monday version of the show. By the way, that number, once again, Fruit of the Spirit, I say to you, you will not find Fruit of the Spirit in any stores ever. That's just not, they're working on a whole different principle than your standard company going out and trying to make a profit. And so they're not interested in being in every store. They want to keep this in a tight and closed loop. Don't ask me why that they wouldn't want to have this product. If it's so wonderful, available to everybody everywhere, it's just not where they're coming from. The only place you can get that stuff, this is not a multi-level marketing scheme. Best place to get it, call that number, as Deborah just said, the married Deborah Ray. Mind you, married. 1-800-442-3793. All right. Interestingly, I come on my computer all the time. Things pass by. This one caught my eye. I always like lists. I mentioned that a moment ago, and I guess maybe David Letterman and I are alike in that respect. He's always talking about his top 10. I'm always looking for lists. Things that have a number associated with it does allow me to glance at a minimum, at least glance at it. This one caught my eye on the Mercola site. Joe does so many good things. Evidently, way back on August 31st, not 31st, August 31st, 2010, CNN must have run some space on what they called the truth about 12 health myths. And in looking at them, and I'm going to give you all two, I'll tell you what they are. Joe Mercola said, look at this. I mean, this is a little bit of namby-pamby land here. Are these the 12 myths? Are these what everybody's interested in? And as it turns out, I'm guessing that CNN did a wonderful job that day bringing these medical myths to the forefront to allow their viewers to, I think, be captivated by them. I think they probably were captivated by it. On the other hand, those that listen to this show and those who listen to this station probably would not be, or at least only mildly interested, if at best, because they just think in a loftier level. They are much more educated, much more able to dig into the real meat of medical issues. So I'll share with you what evidently CNN had in mind back on the 31st of August when they brought to their viewers their 12 medical myths. Some are cute. Others actually do have a little bit of meat. I don't think much. But after we go over these 12, we might have a list of our own. In fact, we got a list of our own. Thanks to Joe Mercola, I can bring it to you. But here's what CNN brought to the viewers back on the 31st of August. The first of the myths, and I'm probably going to lose track of the number, but here they come. You shouldn't, this is a real, this truly was one of the items here that was on the TV channel. You shouldn't cut off bread crust. It's full of vitamins. Well, I can think of my kids cutting off those bread crusts. And as it turns out, and I was surprised to know, because I would have said, that's a complete myth. Turns out, it actually isn't. A German study in 2002 showed that there's up to 8 times more abundant antioxidants in breads at the crust level. Well, there you go. Thank you so much. I'll know what to do when my kids try to pull that one next. Another myth. If you go out with wet hair, you'll catch a cold. Another myth. And that is a complete myth, absolute myth, no doubt about it. How about this one? If you cross your eyes, they'll stay that way. Okay, not so. Absolute myth. You should feed a cold and starve a fever. Actually, in both cases, both colds and fevers, you eat and then drink some more. Hydration is the key element in both of those, and so I guess it's partially wrong. This one's a catchy one. Gum stays in your stomach for 7 years. I actually never even heard that as a myth. I don't know if you have or have propagated that myth. That's an absolute myth. It's an absolute lie. Gum, although it moves along the GI tract a little slower than everything else, it usually is quite through the system within a few days. Certainly heard of this one. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Hey, probably some good foundation here, right? Because in the skins, especially of many of these fruits and berries and the like, and throughout the entire berry itself. Besides talking about just an apple, antioxidants and vitamins and minerals and nutrients are to be found that are quite healthy. And so, on the long run, maybe there's just more than a small amount of truth to that particular myth. How about this one? You lose 75% of your body heat through your head. Well, that's probably if you're talking about newborns, where the head size compared to the rest of the body is so large, that may be approaching the accurate. Turns out in an adult, about 10% of the total exposure that has the capability of losing body heat is through the head, 10%, not 75. So, in fact, we found a fallacy to get rid of hiccups. Oh my goodness, how many different remedies are there? This one in CNN's day, I happened to mention one about someone should startle you, someone should scare you, you should, like holding your breath or drinking water from the back. How many different ways do you know of? They all have to work on the CO2 principle to put the diaphragm at ease and at rest. There's a CO2 anomaly going on during times of hiccuping. Eating fish makes you smart. Well, I've heard it that way, haven't you? Of course, all the nutrients that are found in the form of omega-3 fatty acids, DHA, and the like, these are all to be found in eating fish, and so, hey, probably does make you quite smart. But this one, I remember hearing this from my parents, you shouldn't swim until an hour after eating. Absolute lie. Yes, there'll be a shunting of the blood away from the digestive system to get to your musculature so as to allow you to get through the water. Won't hurt either system. Body can handle it. Big fallacy. Here we go again. Every child needs a daily multivitamin. Hey, I'm going to say that's absolutely true. And how about this last one? Warm milk will help you fall asleep. Turns out there actually is a little bit of truth to that because small amounts of tryptophan, that same thing found in turkey, it's found in milk. So you'd have to drink gallons to get any sleep effect, but I guess with that minute amount, it wasn't too much of a little white lie at least. Well, look, back on the 31st of August, these were the hot items. CNN thought they needed to bring your attention. Humorous were they not? I'm sure it was an interesting show when they talked about those 12 myths. We here at this show and at this station would say there's some more loftier myths, some more meatier issues to get to. Joe Mercola helped point them out. We're going to get to those in a minute. Let's take a short break and talk about some more myths. The big myths, the ones that, well, we've hit many times before. We're going to hit them again. I love lists. Let's move through our list on our return. When we get back to 12 medical myths, be right with you.
help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation and the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Here in KHB 620 at AM Impact on Your Health, as we are with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. We're today on a Monday version of the show, and in keeping with what I had mentioned already, we're talking about various medical myths. There are multiple ones. The list could be well over 12, but in keeping with that CNN show of the 31st of August, Joe Mercola that is, decided to put up his 12 medical myths that he even emphasizes even most doctors believe. We're going to get into the myths and talk about them because, as you'll see, in many cases, hey, we've already talked about them before, you'd be the myth busters, and you are the myth busters when it comes to your own doctors, because every time you go to them, it's not usually a great day for him. It's a wonderful day for you, because you get to enlighten him, and he doesn't like it too much. I think I may be right about that. Anyway, various myths, myths always need to be dealt with, and if there's any truth to the issue, it should be brought out. But if it's truly the myth that the word would suggest, it needs to be quashed. Well, let's talk about some of these myths now. I don't think we're going to get through all 12 today. I think they're important enough to go through rather slowly, unlike the crust of bread thing and holding your breath to clear hiccups. I think these things need a little more attention. Show you what I mean. Myth number 1. These are Joe Mercola's big myths. So many of them happen to line up with what I might think. This would be one that I probably wouldn't have thought of. And I got to thank Joe for bringing it up, because, doggone it, it needs to be brought out into the open, and that is this one. Here's the myth. Cardio is one of the best type of exercises, and it turns out, and as I say these are 12 myths. So when you hear the opening phrase, cardio is one of the best types of exercises, it by its very nature has got to be a myth. Let's see, because it has completely overtaken, cardio workouts have overtaken the entire country, for that matter, most of the world, with respect to that which is believed to be the best for you. So, well, why isn't it the best for you? Turns out that these cardio activities, things like, jogging. I'm always driving along the road and I see folks out, which they look like they're pretty far away from home to me, but jogging for miles, and how about the marathon issue has come into vogue in the last 20 or so years. Big, wildly supported throughout the entire United States. Big thing here, right in Pittsburgh. And people train for this, and they are quite happy about that training. Cardiac activity, max cardiac activity, supposedly is the ideal. Well, as it turns out, it's probably not. Now, let's see why. When you're doing cardio kinds of activity, what that is short for is getting your heart rate up to maximum and keeping it there. So when you hear the word cardio, and you're talking about jogging or bicycling or swimming or doing any of these activities that never seem to end, well, what you're talking about is getting that heart rate up to a maximum and keeping it at that threshold, which is what has been told to us is the best for us physically and physiologically. Well, now we get to the real crux of the matter, because as it turns out, that's not really true. When you do cardio activity, what you're doing, as researchers and investigators have finally determined, is that this kind of activity only works on the slow twitch muscles. Now, here we're getting pretty sophisticated, but it's got to be mentioned in clarifying this myth to be able to allow you to dismiss it. But it only works on slow twitch muscle fibers in your red muscle and completely ignores your white muscle super fast twitch fibers. Now, I don't think you've ever thought about your super fast twitch fibers before, and maybe you're not even familiar with hearing things like about white muscle and red muscle, but I'll tell you that in terms of what's best for you, it's the ability to stimulate both twitch fibers, the slow and the fast. And with the cardio, when you get up to full maximum heart rates and you keep it there and you don't allow it to come back to a period of rest and a period of normalcy, and you just keep it sustained up there at these high levels, it is true physiologically that has now been determined that you're only helping one kind of twitch fiber and not another. That actually is a big deal. It's a bigger deal than you actually would have thought, and it's probably the reason why that this myth has to be jettisoned, that this myth has to be blown. There is a new way of doing activity which stimulates both and allows you, as the person who's undertaking this, giving you your time. You're donating your time and effort to try to benefit you. And what you should want to do is be able to benefit you in the most optimal way possible. And it turns out interval training allows you to do it by taking your heart rate up to a maximum, but allowing it to descend to return to normal within certain time periods is the ideal way to stimulate both of those fibers, as research evidently is now revealing. So that running from here to, let's say, Erie, Pennsylvania, I know that people certainly bicycle it, but keeping that heart rate sustained is not necessarily good for you. They say that you should be trying to sustain your maximum heart rate for approximately 20 seconds, and that should be followed by a recovery period of about 90 seconds, where the heart rate would try to descend back to normal. Just pick it up, hold it at 20 seconds, the maximum heart rate, lower it down to its resting state, give it about 90 seconds, and in doing this interval where you give a full effort and then you rest, a full effort and then you relax, a full effort, this is supposedly stimulating both of those fibers. This is a new approach. This flies in the face of what everybody's doing out there, but this is where the research finally allows to having the number one slot, which I think it probably deserves being there. Cardio is one of the best types of exercises that you can do. It's probably a big myth. And you all who listen to this show need to be able to know about that. What is your maximum heart rate? Well, get pretty sophisticated here, but just to let you know, they say you're supposed to be able to take the number 220 and subtract your age from it. And if you're an adult, that'll be about right for your maximum heart rate. Now you're going to have to get into be able to measure heart rates, and because measuring a rapid heart rate is very difficult from you, because your hand itself is pulsating, you might not be even able to find a pulse. That's where you need a sophisticated device that's able to reveal the pulse rates. They have them. I know that I see them on every what's it called, treadmill. On every treadmill, there are stationary bikes that have them. They're a device you can wear around your wrist, which will enable you to do it. And so the technology is there to be able to make this a very sophisticated thing as opposed to a very crude thing. It's called an interval cardiac workout. Ultimately, two things happen that don't happen in a straight cardiac workout. You increase catecholamines during exercise, which increases fat burning. I got to believe that many of you are doing it for just that. And it increases growth hormone level, a benefit and a plus to all of us who are aging and having our growth hormone be depleted each and every day. Myth number one, that's it. Cardio is not one of the best types of exercises. Interval cardio is. Myth is now blown. Hey, take a short break. You may want to weigh in on that one. Next myth coming up. Hey, it's about vaccines. Wow, we've talked about this one a lot. Vaccines are safe and effective and prevent disease. That's myth number two. And the way it's already phrased, it is a myth, and you already know it if you're listeners to this show. Be back in a moment.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in the formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Fruit of the Spirit. The blessings of Fruit of the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith. Let Fruit of the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to AM Impact on Your Health here on this Monday version of the show, talking about various myths in medicine. And as it turns out, Joe, I'll thank him once again. Joe Mercola was nice enough to email me, as he does each and every week, multiple times sometimes, what he listed as his top 12 myths The first of these we've already discussed. It'd be one I know I've really never discussed before personally. It wasn't really a myth that I thought was worthy of having the subject touched. I didn't think it was a myth at all. I thought cardio was something to be beneficial. Now we move into other myths, and each and every one of these you're going to be very comfortable with because we have hit these over and over and over again. And so to you all, especially listeners to this particular show, you're not going to be hoodwinked to thinking that they're anything other than a myth. And here we go with myth number 2. Vaccines, this is the myth now, vaccines are safe and effective at prevent disease. Well, now, the way it's said, that automatically you should take that as a myth. This becomes a very difficult issue for many folks because, as Joe even mentions, that for many out there, this issue is not debatable, and it by the public, but by a host of individuals from the public, certainly within the medical community. They believe that vaccines are one of the greatest gifts to public health in the history of civilization. And I think you get to go through various stages in your awakening here with this, but in following this issue over as many years as I've been doing the show, there should be 3 elements that bring one to the table to be able to take this as the myth that it truly is when you're talking about all vaccines, okay? And let's just say that I believe that they're going to be more perpetrated on us in the up and coming very near future. We got enough right now that we can have quite a discussion about this. But there are really 3 questions when it comes to a vaccine. That is it safe? Number 2, does it prevent disease? And number 3, if any of the above 2 are true, how can you take vaccines and how safely and effectively can they be given either in combination with one another or in close succession with one another? These are the 3 key and salient points. Now, I don't think today's the day to get drudge up all of the information that we've acquired over on this issue of vaccines over the last 5 to 10 years. But we can just say, I'll reduce it to this. I do the show a number of years ago. It was a show that I felt pretty comfortable in doing after coming back from a conference I was at one time down in Houston, Texas, where an issue was the issue of vaccines was presented in a way that really resonated with me, because I think that the public, thinking that all vaccines are wonderful and that they to them are the greatest things to public health in the history of civilization, needs to just do what I did during that show, which was reveal how the research is done. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire dialogue. That show is on the archives. You can go to the show anytime and listen to the entire thing in its entirety. I'll admit that oftentimes when I take a break, go on a vacation, or go to a conference, I usually play that show of many, many years ago, and you'll hear it again soon, I promise you that. But it was during that show that I revealed how an actual study of vaccines is done. And yes, there are studies that are done. And it is believed by the public, at least, that because of these studies, why? The federal government, FDA or CDC, or whoever's ever doing them, obviously wouldn't release something to the general public that wasn't determined to be completely safe. Because why would they be doing the studies at all if, in fact, and if they learned that it would be harmful to you, then obviously they wouldn't allow the stuff to ever make it into the doctor's offices and be administered to you. Now, that would seem to me to be what the general public would think about their government. And it's what I thought about my government and what you all thought about your government until it was revealed how these studies are accomplished. And although I'm not going to get into the entire study, I'll bring the one salient point that once you know it, you never are able to confront this topic ever again with the same sort of unblemished complexion or unaltered eyesight once you know what I'll now reveal to you, as I did that day when I did the show, and it'll come up again one of these times in the future. But essentially, the way the studies run are like this. They have a bunch of children that are administered a vaccine and others that are not. They go through a series of observations and medical encounters while the vaccines are being administered, directly after the time they're being administered. And you would think that the idea is to see how the kids do, to find out, all right, those kiddies that got the vaccine, did they show any adverse effects from the taking of the vaccine? Because, hey, if they do, then we certainly wouldn't want the public to be exposed to such terribly and potentially harmful substances. Now, that's what you think. That's what I thought. That's what the majority of the public thinks. And for those who continue to want to believe that vaccines are one of the greatest gifts to public health in the history of civilization, when you hear what I'm about to tell you, if you don't question how wonderful that is and what a contribution to civilization that is, then, well, then that be you. It just won't be me. But here's what happens. During those studies, while they're administering vaccines to kiddies to try to find out, hey, are these things harmful? Are there any adverse effects? If a child happens to become ill during that study period, after having received the vaccine, he or she is just removed from the study. And no mention of that child ever appears again. I mean, it doesn't appear as, okay, one child got sick, or two children got sick, or a whole host of kiddies got sick. Oh no. Once a child gets sick, they are just removed from the study, and they're not mentioned ever again. So consequently, how in the heck can you trust that the study that was being run is ever to be able to reveal harmful aspects of the vaccines that they're being tested, if when something that could appear and be the outward sign that there is a problem is just ignored? The child is removed from the study, and the study goes on, and ultimately, I guess, you just report, hey, everything's okay here. We gave her all the kids, and here they are. And of course, the ones that got ill, and we never hear about because they are removed from the study. That alone, if that's true, and I swear to you, that is actually how the studies are run. If that were to be true, how can anybody maintain their level of trust in what they, I believe, in good faith, have done, which is to say our government would never do that to us. That they do these studies to protect us, and if you agree that doesn't sound like protection to you, then you'd have to agree that it's no protection at all, and it makes all vaccines suspect, if that's how the studies are run. Now, there is a question, of course, about. So the first issue of is it safe, I believe, is completely undeterminable based on the kind of sciences that we get from our pharmaceutical companies doing those studies. As to whether they're effective, this is a debate. There actually are very good points on either side of this debate as to whether or not the vaccine actually works. There are plenty that say that it doesn't have any effect at all. There are plenty that do say that immunological responses that produce antibodies avail themselves of the body's own ability to protect it. That one, I believe, is a debatable question. It's still up for grabs. There is no doubt that exposure to a virus can lead to the body developing a complete response, not a artificially created response, and in fact, you can be completely protected against diseases if you've already had the disease. But as to whether you can become protected from never having the disease at all by getting a vaccine, that issue is still up for grabs. Hey, this issue of vaccines, I believe, and I'm glad to see that Joe put it in the number 2 slot. As far as vaccines are safe and effective and prevent disease, I think, in my opinion, you have to rate that as a big and giant myth. Next up, number 3 on the list. I don't know if I'd have put it in number 3, but I think it's a big issue. We certainly talked about it here. How about this one as a myth? Fluoride in your water lowers your risk of cavities. We are getting fluoridated. There are only a few areas in the country that don't participate in water fluoridation. I don't think Pittsburgh is one of those areas. I think we're loaded with the stuff. But let's just take it as a myth, as mentioned, that fluoride in your water lowers your risk of cavities. As it turns out, there is actually evidence to show that when you topically apply fluoride to the teeth, as is in the case of dentists that actually do this, they have a fluoridation treatment where they go around each and every tooth and they'll place a solution of fluoride on each and every tooth. It's absolutely 100% shown that there is a benefit to that child, to that person who has received that treatment with the topical application of fluoride to the tooth. Yet, listen to the myth. The myth is fluoride in your water lowers your risk of cavities. And in that one, it turns out that is absolutely a myth. That the ingestion of fluoride into the water system, in order to get, if that's where we're getting it, so that you don't get cavities, absolutely doesn't do what it's advertised to do. That whenever they compare areas of the world and areas within the country that have fluoridation going on versus those that don't, kids get cavities at the same rate in either one of those situations, whether their water is being fluoridated or not. So consuming fluoride in fluoridated water doesn't do a thing to lower your risk of cavities, even though direct application of fluoride can. But boy, the side effect, boy, the price to be paid for this perceived benefit. So look what happened here. It was determined early on that doing direct applications of fluoride to the tooth had benefit. I don't know who got all jazzed up, who said, wow, look, why don't we just put this fluoride in every little bit of the water, and then everybody will be able to lower their risk of cavities, and we won't even need dentists, probably. That turned out not to be the case. But the side effect of consuming the fluoride is something we have to contend with each and every day. Big health problems are generated from consuming the fluoride that, if it was supposed to give us a benefit in our teeth, sure is not doing it. But it is doing some big things with our immune system. It's doing big things against our thyroids. It's decreasing IQs. The list is going on and on and on. And the fluoridation continues. If it's under the guise and the crucifix of we're here to help your teeth, it's not working. It's a giant myth. It's the number 3 on the Mercola list, and we just had to talk about it. Hey, time to take a short break. Want to weigh in on any of these first 3? Go right ahead. When we come back, we're going to talk about another myth, GMO crops. Oh my goodness, we've talked about that a few times in the past, have we not? Be right back in a moment with myth number 4 on GMO.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan has a $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Oh, sorry, I gotta go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches. Soda, that's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit of the spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruit with herbs and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shake. Fruit of the Spirit is a unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the Spirit contains fresh fruits native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea. With no added sugars, Fruit of the Spirit is a unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to AM Impact on Your Health here on this Monday version of the show. Sun just came out. It's brightly shining through the windows here in the office, and hope it's shining on you no matter where you may be. We're trying to bring a little sunshine in your life with a little bit of knowledge, and this is knowledge that I think you have very much acquired already. As a listener of this show and as a listener of this station, talking about various myths in medicine, Joe Mercola got the discussion going with his email this past week, and as I tell you, many of these issues that he has rated as high on his list have obviously been high on ours because we've already talked about them so often that I think we've blown the myth and exposed it for what it really is. There's myth number 4. Oh, we got a knock on the door. Come on in, sir. Why don't you come on in before I get trotting off into a new myth and probably miss the opportunity to speak with you. Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
The myth about vaccines.
Ah.
Hang in there with that one for a minute. You're going to have Cass Ingram on
Yes.
the radio?
Yes.
Well, I actually spoke up at the Freedom of Choice group last November, about vaccines and viruses, this sort of thing. The H1N1 was going on.
Oh, the swine flu vaccine was big then and it's going to be big again.
Afterwards, Barb came up to me and she said, "Oh, you must have read Cass Ingram's book." And no, I hadn't. It was mostly internet. My talk had been based on a lot of internet research I'd done. But one of the things I talked about was what Len Horowitz brought up about how the polio vaccine was the main cause of all these bizarre cancers. And guess what? Cass Ingram wrote a book about that. I got it then. I read the book. Unfortunately, I'm not in my library, so I don't have the name of it with me. But you should ask him about that. He wrote an entire book and specifically about the polio vaccine from the 19th.
This guy has written more great books. I mean, I'm still trying to get him on a blood pressure situation. He wrote a book on natural cures for it. I was unaware of the fact that he wrote one on vaccines, and you better believe I'm going to ask him about it. No doubt about that.
I can't wait to hear what he says. He sounds more radical than Len Horowitz sounds.
That's not possible. That's you and I both know Len, and it is not possible that we can find not Cass Ingram. You think he's more radical? Oh my!
You have to get a hold of that book, or at least ask him about it, because he documents it, researches it out.
I promise to do so, Dave. Thank you very much for that little blurb. I hope to be talking to Cass actually even today. So I'm going to get him to come back and talk about many issues. One of them will be vaccines. I swear.
Good. Hey, thanks for mentioning that Mother Earth conference, but it's actually the Mother Earth News Conference.
Mother Earth News Conference this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of people think Mother Earth is Gaia, New Age. This is anything but. It's all about small farming, animal husbandry, beekeeping.
Yeah.
It's homesteading, really. Survival skills, which if this Obama keeps running the economy into the ground the way he is, we're all going to need these skills.
Hey, by the way, should mention that's out this weekend at Seven Springs, right?
Yep, and best of all, wild weed walk. So.
oh yeah, Faith is going to be out with plenty of weeds growing out there. My goodness.
We checked it out. We found a spot. Actually, they keep it pretty pristine, and actually pretty cut down. So it was hard to find a spot with some weeds in it.
Get out! It was tough to find.
But we did. We found a great little spot. So we're set to go.
All right. Thanks for the call, Dave.
Thank you, Doc.
Absolutely. Dave Fish weighing in as he so oftentimes doesn't. Once again, this casting room guy really, he just never ceases to amaze. Hey, we're up here. We got a few minutes left. Let's just talk about another myth here as we're coming to a close today. I promised that over the next week or so I'll get through all 12 of these myths because they're really not myths to you. They've already been blown on the water. This particular one that Joe mentioned in his number 4 slot was that he says GMO crops are safe, well-tested, and economically beneficial. Obviously, as it is written, he intends to say that's a myth, and that's truly a myth. I got to tell you that as many times as we bring up GMO issues here on the show, it has most often, not always, but most often been tied to the GMO of genetically modified use of corn, and in particular in vitamin C. Remember, I was the guy, and all my buddies and all my colleagues here in Pittsburgh got really mad at me when we revealed this little-known fact at the time. Now it's coming to be pretty much a common knowledge that vitamin C, 99.9% of the time, is coming from, 99.9% of the time is coming from corn, and that all corn is genetically modified at this stage of the game. And by virtue of it, and having it's altered genetically, it is a biological dud. Should say that on the one hand, that sounds like, oh, the vitamin C is suspect, but there's so much more that goes along with that GMO intervention, and that has to do with the diseases that are running rampant now since 1996. We're 9 years beyond what more than that beyond it, and immune systems, insulin regulation, organ damage, allergies, chronic disease are all on the increase and believed to be associated with it. So GMO is much more harmful than just making vitamin C a dud. It's deadly besides. More on this when we get to it. I promise to come back to it. Have a wonderful day. See you on Wednesday with Cass. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AM Impact on your health.